whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos, go, never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, I host the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and through that collaboration, I've been able to reach out to directly and indirectly over 100,000 fathers around the world this year. So I'm blessed on that, and I also like to say, as always, you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live on November 17th, and on most Saturday evenings, we do State of Things with Aisha and Jill. So let's bring up the stars. I'm just a father. So let's get the stars up here, up on the stage. Here we go. Here we go. What's going on, ladies?
Hola.
Hello.
Hi.
Good. I miss you both, by the way.
I know, we missed you too.
Yeah.
No, Jill was having too much fun in Texas. So
I had fun. I have to admit I did. You know, with the
Jill,
company though.
Yeah, but no, I didn't get any DMs asking for bail money.
No, it was all pretty good. I went to the Capitol. I even, looked around and started, I kind of developed a real respect for the Democrats who left. And remember, they came and left in retaliation against whatever Abbott is doing. I found a real mixed bag of people who have this Texas way of life, which is there's a Texas mentality about we'll muddle through. We never wanted to be a part of the union in the first place, as if they really remember it from back then. But it shouldn't be a surprise when you go to the Capitol. You kind of see this doctrine kind of reinstated all over with the Lone Star State, all of these subliminal messaging items that kind of play into the mindset of the people about their freedom and all this other nonsense, and which is nice in theory, but in reality, it's just getting them to understand that you've got to see humanity as your brothers and your sisters, not your enemies and your foes.
Aisha, did you think Jill would be in any trouble in Texas? Be honest now.
I talked to her the day before she left.
Could you give a little bit of that conversation for our audience, or is that like offline?
No, it was fine. I was just like asking her, was she ready to go?
They made sure I was eating all the time. Like I was eating. It wasn't like a moment where there was a break of me not eating. I had the best taco. And we went to some incredible restaurants, which is so funny because they're all like, Michelin trained chefs and award winners from all over the world that are there. So that's a good thing for me to know that there is some semblance of it will change. The state will just change because of the things they enjoy doing. It's they're going to have to kind of see it. I did, find something, they have things like candles. Like I was like, I'll get candles for my friends and everything. But I came across things like leather scented candles. I was like, and it really did smell like a leather seat saddle. I was like,
scented candles.
Yeah, I still might you all still might get that for Christmas because it's just something to experience. It was like, what the heck is this? Leather. And
scented.
Thanks for the warning.
yeah, it was very Texas, so if you want that clean leather smell, yeah, that was it. They got it all in a bottle, in a jar.
Aisha, what's been going on with you over the last 2 weeks?
Oh, wow. Working, I had pretty much most of this week off. So I got to spend time with my daughter who came for the holidays. And we've been trying to move things around in the apartment so we can put up the Christmas tree that we will not be here for. Because
Hold on, what?
yes, we will put up the Christmas tree. That's why we're putting it up now, because we're leaving on December 15th. So for a month, from December 15th to January 15th, I will be broadcasting from South Carolina.
Oh, Carolina. Okay. All right. Okay. I was just going, okay.
Going to visit my father, yeah.
Nice. So this will be good. So
yeah, so I have really nice decorations. So this year's theme are our favorite music legends. So we have Tina Marie ornaments, we have Prince ornaments, we have Michael Jackson ornaments, and we have a Marvin Gaye ornament that sings "I Heard It Through the Grapevine."
Oh, nice. Oh,
yeah. And then the other ornaments are pink and purple.
Very nice.
Very nice. Very nice. That's so are both you getting, since it's like tail end of Thanksgiving weekend or midway through Thanksgiving week, are you getting into that holiday spirit?
I totally went to a decor store yesterday, and it was so overwhelming because they just had purple, blue, green, orange, yellow, everything in all these different schemes that it messed up my idea. And I was like, I got to come back and regroup because I had to. So I did all these videos of it.
You got to come back and regroup.
Yeah, I just went in for the nice little white lights and all this little silver things. And then I got in there and I was like, they have Mary Magdalene and all the, like, Mother Mary and all these things. And then they have balloons and candy canes and all these incredible things. I put it on my Instagram story and feed, and it's overwhelming. Elves, there's mermaid trees, there was everything. And it's a really gorgeous
mermaid
place.
Trees?
Yeah, everything. Fairies that are little elves and little cute fairies and slippers, glass slippers. It was just, then they even had those people who like doing a Halloween Christmas, or, everything in black, where people who want those kind of ornaments. This place is just off the hook. It was just Eva's design collection. And it's just beautiful, minimalist, you name it, it was there. If you want a 1970s tree with those old bright bulbs, they have everything. Nice. Swans, pelicans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It like I said, it was overwhelming. I was like, okay, do I want owls? Do I want swans? What the heck? It's just me and my husband, right?
Yeah. It was really hard to choose what route to go. So we said, we'll do a music legends one, because I've been trying to every year hang this one ornament someone gave me years ago. And it's a teardrop with a dove's feather in it.
Ooh,
when doves cry.
Nice.
It's really pretty. And I just have never been able to think of a theme around it, because I just don't want a tree full of doves.
Tina's daughter was born on Christmas. Alia was born on Christmas Day, and sadly Tina passed on the day after. So it's always kind of a poignant,
bittersweet,
very bittersweet day. Yeah.
Well,
but she loved Christmas. So thank you for doing. She would love that.
Nice.
Singing Ave Maria.
Always.
I believe I have that on one of my MP3 tracks.
I
think I'll play that song, because we're having I think I have her singing it. We're going to have a Christmas tree lighting and listening party at my house on December 11th. So I'm
Okay.
having
Nice.
everybody will be gone before it's time to do the show.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Oh, we've got someone already in the house. Black Beauty saying Jill has a
Hey,
beautiful Texas glow. She looks so refreshed. Aisha too. I know Aisha didn't go, but the ladies look refreshed. They weren't arrested. That's why they're glowing.
True.
That's why they're glowing. Oh my
I just got from a
goodness.
nap. That's why I'm going.
Oh my God, my hotel was fabulous, and the
Oh,
bed was just luxurious. It was really nice to just have
queen
that
size
moment.
bed.
King, my husband.
King-
Well,
Woo.
it happens to be because my husband is so tall,
Okay.
and yeah, it was just gorgeous. And I think I'm kind of going more in the traditional route as I get a little older with my choices, kind of more traditional. And I guess we do in times of crisis, we lean on more family and all the traditional themes and elements in our lives. I find that that's what seems to be happening.
Cool. Well, we're talking about comfort and luxury, but there is a world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you haven't talked about the world on the platform for a few weeks, so we got a few things to catch up on. So
Right, we do.
let's get the party started. Mr. Kyle Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, commentary on the trial and commentary. Were you surprised on the verdict?
No.
Mm-mm.
That judge was doing everything he could possibly do to just mess up the trial. And now, the not guilty verdict did not surprise me. But there's one thing to learn from it, is that if you are even a white person and you support Black Lives Matter, you too will see injustice when it comes to these courts
True.
and these trials. You too, your families will also face the same kinds of things that Black families face. When you show up to support Black people, expect this kind of injustice as well. We saw it, I was telling my nephews, we saw this with how they did Viola Liuzzo. We saw this how they did James Reed, Heather Heyer, the Goodman and Schwerner. We've seen this history of how this happens. And so, of course, people are going to be, like the title says, sad and angry and frustrated. But who's not sad and angry and frustrated? Kyle Rittenhouse, because he's out here. This snow roach is snow roaching. He's out here taking pictures with Donald Trump being. What'd you say, Dr. Vibe?
What did you call him?
I said this snow roach is snow roaching.
Where the heck you get that term from?
I don't know.
Jill didn't teach you that one.
No, that one's a good one.
But he's out here taking pictures with Donald Trump after he said he supports the Black Lives Matter movement. Right?
Exactly. That I found very interesting.
And then Matt Gaetz is talking about, oh, we need to get him as an intern. And what's the other tramp?
I'm not going to follow. I'll let Jill fill that blank. I'm not going to go.
The one from Ohio with the dirty yellow ties?
No,
Jordan.
Florida lady. Georgia lady, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes.
We have to get him in here. This is after, and remember, this is after all these white supremacists raised $4 million for him. So please do not try and sit here for his defense. Don't sit here and try and say this wasn't about
more grifting.
Race did not touch this trial. And here's the other sickening part. Those jurors looked at him as if he could be their little boy, which tells you something else, is that they know their sons have this capacity and they refuse to control it. They refuse to get ahead of it because, I'm sorry, 17 years old with an AR-15 and his 38-year-old looking like she's 65 mother did nothing.
Yeah.
I've been around my grandfather this Thanksgiving. That's probably where this is coming from.
Jill, what did you think about this trial and the final verdict? I know you probably weren't surprised, but I've got an article up here: sad and angry and frustrated Black moms on the Rittenhouse effect.
Yeah, I was not surprised. I think that, what was so sad about it is that, Aisha's right. It seems like white people weren't really all that up in arms about this. And that was kind of worrisome. We had more people of color more concerned about the outcome of this than I think a lot of, white people were. And that was a little bit disturbing because that said a lot to me more than, whether they thought he was guilty or innocent. Just the fact that it was a normalized shooting in their minds. And very few were addressing. I know the media were, but all in all, in everyday society, I can't say I watched it as much as I should have, because once I heard the judge's tone, I kind of knew he was setting it in a way that it would have been very difficult for the jury to maneuver around that, and particularly about the directions that he gave the jurors. And what was really strange is that the juror directions, I don't believe they could take anything in there with them to keep control over what the rules were when it came to different laws. That was a little bit disturbing too, that even goes on. And what it tells us is that legislation is really important, because they don't have that locked up as much as we saw a little bit in Ahmaud Arbery, which we'll get into later, and you'll know why the DAs at the beginning hid that, because that law is pretty clear cut, but other states don't have that. And I think that Congress needs to come up with a way to remove some of these things when it's charged properly, because it should have been a domestic terrorist trial as opposed to something local in a state. And that was the first mistake. And we really need all of that reformed, because we're going to see more of this activity. There is a case in Lubbock, Texas, where a man confronted another man on his property trying to pick up his kid for his visitation. And you know how some people play games and whatever, and her new boyfriend shot him, and it's all on film.
Wow.
And there have been no charges for that. And these are two white people. And it just seems now that, they actually need to start stepping up too for themselves, because there are crimes that are going in their communities as well with these my defense type of things. And it isn't that at all. So that to me is as equally as outrageous. Yeah, he killed him too, just like in the sense of like a Kyle Rittenhouse, and said he was fearful of his life. And, there was no ground for that.
White men are going to use that term,
Mm-hmm.
that phrase to get out of everything. I'm fearful.
That's
for my
what's
life.
happening.
Police use it. I'm fearful for my life. Then why are you a police officer?
I agree. I always say that.
I'm fearful for my life. I'm fearful for my life. So I shot.
God, if the samurai thought that way before they went out.
But why did you bring the gun in the first place when things were calm? And here's the thing with Kyle Rittenhouse. Let's remember these facts. He drove across state lines. Nobody asked him to come. He claimed that the people who owned the car lot that he was protecting had asked him to guard the car lot. They came out and said, "We don't know this person."
There was no proof of that.
I don't know her. They did Mariah Carey. I don't know her.
I don't know her.
Right? They did not know him. They did not ask him. He came with that AR-15 that he got because he thought it looked cool. And then he proceeded to shoot one person who on the video you can see was not attacking him. Right. And then he kept walking through and shooting more people. And the part that bothers me more than anything, again, the Snow Roach is yapping it up about I defended myself. Everybody can now see that it was self-defense. It was not self-defense. You got off.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. You got off. It was not self-defense. Don't try and convince people it was self-defense. Don't try and convince people that you were innocent. Don't try and convince people that you had not plotted to go there and be a menace and be a murderer. Because
the intent,
if you were
was
going there, why
definitely
did you
murder.
go with a gun? You went there with the intent of shooting someone.
Using his
Period.
AR, whatever it's called, but murder was the intention.
Exactly.
And, you know, unfortunately, there will be other cases for this young man. He's young, but he is not exempt from it returning its in full circle. I mean, and it will, because they've basically given this person with no tools on how to function in the world, you know, full license to go and do what he wants. And what's really kind of sick is to watch all of these Matt Gaetz, you know, the scum of the barrel, grifting off of his celebrity at the moment, which is astoundingly sick, because I mean, you get in bed with those folks, and it you know, his days don't seem very bright. It'll be very telling one day, and I'm so sorry for the kids who lost their lives out there. But this is nothing new, especially the way the judge laid it out. And yeah, the judge was disgraceful and shameful. And, you know, I wondered why the DA couldn't make a move earlier with certain rulings that the judge had. Now, I know defense attorneys can, when they start to see a judge doing things. And why didn't they ask for a mistrial? Like, just ask for something, or just ask for whatever, just so they could go back and charge him again and have it, you know, the trial in another location outside of Wisconsin, you know?
Yeah. Well, you know,
but it also proved that Wisconsin is deep.
Mm-hmm.
It's real deep. It may look like it's, you know, hunky dory, but it's not. If those are the peers, then you have something to be very worried about.
Well, karma is coming for him. Karma will do him like it's doing George Zimmerman.
Yeah, and just a total cast off. You know, totally.
Like, what was it? A couple weeks ago, this gun show, they just canceled the whole gun show because George Zimmerman was going to be there. Yeah. They just canceled the whole show. They didn't tell him he couldn't come. They just canceled the whole show. After
they get rid of the mileage of it, and, you know, who knows of whatever mileage people will use having this little kid on their shows and whatever, he'll be dumped to the curb. And then next thing you know, he'll be sitting on a hilltop somewhere in Okie land, drinking, and probably an alcoholic. Or he'll probably try to run for Congress and everything, but he will get to see the full scope of how not just those jurors viewed him, but his real peers, because society isn't even going to want to align with that. They really aren't.
No,
not really. No,
he's a future domestic violence perpetrator.
If he gets a girlfriend. I don't know.
He will.
All right. Black Beauty saying most definitely that judge in the Rittenhouse trial was, to me, totally representative of the climate that 45 intended to be spread like wildfire through our judicial system in America.
True. But I think that when we get into Ahmaud Arbery, you will see that jury sent a powerful message to the whole nation. And that kind of trumped it. Plus, the judge in that one, I thought he was throwing shade on the other judge. Actually, I don't know if I'm the only one who thought, when he was talking about how juries need and judges need to conduct themselves, I felt a tremendous amount of shade hovering over Wisconsin.
But he did throw shade, and he did throw deliberate shade, because there was that day when old Foghorn Leghorn, the attorney for
the names out tonight, Jill.
He said, I would like to object to the use of the word victim. The judge said, I never said you couldn't use victim in my courtroom.
Right. In my courtroom. Yes, he said that.
Black Beauty also says Rittenhouse lied. It was proven that he lied. Why his parent is prohibited from being charged is totally offensive, as well as the obvious biased delivery of justice that the judge permitted was horrible.
Totally.
And he did all of that shaming of the prosecutor in front of the jury. That was callous and wrong. At least anytime that the judge in the Arbery case needed to have the conversation with the two sides, he sent the jury out.
I know. Which this other guy, he needs to be retired. And I'm curious. I hopefully, now that we saw the outcome of that, there will be some moves to get rid of him. And we all need to follow up on that because he needs to go.
He does. But also too,
and all of his cases need to be reviewed.
And also too, let's not forget this. Kyle Rittenhouse thinks he got off easy. He got off easy in criminal court. They can sue him personally for the rest of his life in civil court, and he will be working for the rest of his life
with every dime going. Yes.
Off.
Yeah. So they did him absolutely no favor.
So next time you see Kyle Rittenhouse, he will be in a dirty white tank top, jeans hanging down, big belly, dirty old face, because he's having to work to pay off all those bills.
He didn't make himself of any use once he said he supported Black Lives Matter, right?
Right.
So now both sides are like, I don't know. What do we do with this? And so he'll have to sell his soul to whatever devil gives him the best price.
And pray McDonald's will be able to hire him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna be doing grunt work for the rest of his life.
Black Beauty is going LMAO, so she loves how Jill's just dropping the names tonight. That's classic.
Aisha is just on.
She's on it. She's on it tonight. I'm gonna save this, but I will ask you, and then a little bit, the media coverage in this trial versus the Arbery trial, and the dynamics of it, because I have some thoughts that I would love to get your feedback on. But speaking about the Arbery trial, let's talk about the Arbery trial. Where were you both when you heard the verdict?
I heard it like 30 minutes in. I just went to check. Something told me just check. I think they might have come to a verdict on Wednesday. I was like, I think they might have, and sure enough, they did. I was like, these jurors, they understood the assignment.
Yeah, I was at home and my friend Anthony texted me and was like, yay. And I was like, uh-oh. And then I saw and went, oh my gosh, this is wild. They convicted him. And so I was really surprised. I was worried at one point.
And let me be clear. They didn't just convict on one count of murder.
Yeah.
The killer, the one with the gun, got all 9 counts of murder. Look, there were what, 4 or 5 counts of murder, and then assault and all this other stuff. The father
and
got
imprisonment, false imprisonment, all of it.
The father got 8 of the 9 counts.
Right.
And little old
got 5, I think.
Little old Bobby Roddy, whatever his name is, who thought he was gonna get off because he
turned in the
turned in the video.
No, okay, so let's stop right there. Now, I want to know if all 3 of them are in the same prison. I would want to know, is Mr. Video Man safe? Because I don't think he's safe. Like if they're in the same prison, nothing would tell me that the father and son may go after him.
He is the reason they are there.
Exactly.
Well, but here's the thing. You got to remember that video got leaked
by the daughter who posted the dead body.
Yeah,
this is the family of the shooter.
And remember this too.
It was on Snapchat.
We haven't seen the whole video.
Right.
We only see it to a point. The part of the video we don't see is when they're standing over his body, calling him the N-word. Yeah, because they planned on taking that video later and yucking it up.
Right. Sick family. So the daughter kind of tipped the horn a little bit, and then of course, they took it to their DA woman, and she knew in her good sense that she knew the laws were going to take them down. She also knew she tried to bury it. Now, she's gotten arrested too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, she sure has.
And she will most likely serve time. She should. But they knew that they needed to cover that up because somewhere in the middle of their booze fest, somebody or whatever later on, their sick snuff film video,
Yeah.
they realized,
That's what
oh,
it does, yeah.
shoot, we have a problem here. And I'm sure there's a lot of other loose links here of where that video went beforehand. There's another guy too. So there's two people that passed on this and knew of its existence and tried to cover up for these people.
Let me tell you something. I like the fact that the prosecutor kept putting up the picture of Travis when he got arrested so that the jury could look. This is the man that Travis saw, not this one sitting in front of you who done lost 40 pounds.
With those Warby Parkers on, that they all had Warby Parkers,
Glasses.
all of them. It was like they all went to the same outlet and
Y'all
got
went to
the
Warby
same
Parker,
damn
right?
glasses. Right. No, yeah, no shade, but it was everybody had the same damn glasses on. That real redneck one that they had, a lawyer.
Look, they had so much white powder on their faces, dusted.
Totally.
So much powder because you didn't see a redneck face in sight. Those were not the faces of what Ahmaud Arbery saw in his last.
Those weren't Warby Parkers. Those were just at the glasses barn that they went and shopped, and they must have gotten like a deal when they went.
The glasses barn.
That was like
they told homeboy, they're like, you need to lose 40 pounds. So in this face, you don't look as red and huffy.
Yes, because he was, huffy.
And we'll slap on some foundation and makeup.
And he was he was just the stereotypical, and he lived at home with his parents. Like he everything
looked like the Klansman that followed me on a date one time.
Oh God.
At Opryland Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee in 1996.
Wow. Could have been.
That's what he looked like.
He's a real loser. And then, what was, the suits, all of it, they were all just starting to look the same. And the bad thing is that with the rhetoric and that racist crap that the woman with the saying about the dirty toenails, you wouldn't pick an attorney like them in your drunken state. I mean, let's just say
you want to go to jail, don't you? Because you picked when she went there. Here's what I want to know: how she tried to make him sound like a runaway slave.
She did. She so did. Thank you.
How did his feet even come into this? Y'all trying to make it sound like he was running barefoot down the street in his hands. He had on. He jogs without socks. So what?
I had to look at my own damn feet. I was like, I don't know. I'm not a marathon
I just
runner.
Got a pedicure the other day,
and I'm not going to clip my tails like I'm a marathon runner. Maybe I want to run that day. Damn, does it come down to that now? Shit.
I mean, she's like his long, dirty toes. She's trying to say his long, dirty, black, ugly, nasty feet.
She said that. She did.
She did. And it's like, here's what I want to know. They were looking. So you mean to say that they undressed him?
Yeah.
They took off his shoes?
Yeah. They did something, right?
Because how do you get to that unless you took off his shoes?
But see, the worst part of the attorneys is that it showed how arrogant and their white privilege that they actually, let's not forget, they picked these jurors too. And they were so bad that not one white juror wanted to align on any mental level with them. And they were so arrogant to think that their white skin would exonerate just based upon.
So they closed the case. I mean, they didn't even present a case. They just thought, oh, they're white.
They were the worst. Like I said, I don't know. Even if you're drunk or you've got to have one eye open and go, look, can we fire them? Like,
And that last one, though, he was the worst. I'm like, Foghorn Leghorn. I'm like, if he stands up one more good time to object to something, I swear to God, I'm going down there.
They just should have given him a hammer and a nail to just keep nailing a box shut, because that's all he did. He was so nasty that
I object to the black jurors being outside.
Yeah, and it was just like everything that they could do. I really do believe that the jurors just were like, oh, the hell with this. These are the people we actually don't like in our town. And I hope, you wouldn't even go to them to, defend anything. These people are horrible. I mean, what kind of cases have they been working on? They were absolutely atrocious. It was like, on Mayberry RFD, they had people who used to come down on a truck and play banjos and stuff. They might as well have just done that. It was an absolute circus.
Here's the part is that you have people defending these three people who are just like them.
I know.
And that was the part, the thing that
That's the wrong
jurors
part.
saw. That was the thing that the jurors saw. The jurors were like, we don't want these people in our town.
No.
And then they bring counsel in as just like them.
Right, because sometimes jurors like the counsel and believe that the counsel is credible and they're responsible. And oh my God, these guys aren't racist. They were, you know what I mean? Mind you, the video was really hard to not see it. It was sort of like the same thing with George Floyd, but it is true. Like, what would we do without these people taking videos? And the craziest thing is that Roddy took the video.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That is some dumb cracker stuff. Okay.
The other nail in the coffin was dude.
I hate to say cracker, but it's very, very salty.
The other thing was dude thinking that he was going to be able to testify and change the narrative. He was like, he tried to grab my gun. He came after me, but you showed up with a gun. It's like, the thing is like, no, you brought the gun to the scene.
And
you got out your car with the gun.
You
point a gun at somebody.
Self-defense when you've incited it.
Exactly. You can't. That's what the jury had to decide. You can't claim self-defense when you show up to start a fight and somebody's defending themselves against you, and then you say you shot because it was self-defense because they were defending.
Yes, exactly.
And it's like, and then his father. Oh my God. All the stuff that came out about what his father had said and how his father was acting like someone out of Mayberry, to the races.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And what's really a shame like that is that, you as a parent are supposed to want better for your child's life. You're supposed to be their role model. And what's really disgusting is that it's a real interesting play on the sins of the father, and watching your own son really result in that's your legacy. That's what you've contributed to. And I'm not sticking up for the boy, the old man in any capacity, but that is they had a very unhealthy relationship. It was, his father clearly was the reason he was not a very successful person in life. And he filled his child and both of his children with so much hatred that it's just karmically what they have to wear on in their person for the rest of their lives. Even the daughter is hateful. Her friends have come out and said it, that this is not a surprise. She used to brag all the time that her father used to work at the DA's office. So, they all just went down the pipe, went down the sewer where they belong, and it's going to be something. But yeah, I don't know if they'll put them all in the same jail.
How much hate the father has, right? He sat in the car seat. Do you know what a car seat looks like in a car, especially these car seats they have now?
Yeah.
My niece's car seat was in my sister's car on Thanksgiving Day to ride home from my grandmother's house. We had to put the car seat out so I could get into the seat.
I know.
How that's hate. He overcame sitting on top of a car seat. And he's a big
get
dude.
There to do something
right. He
diabolical.
was more desperate and more focused on going after this guy than he was, that he couldn't even take his grandson's car seat out the car.
Yeah. Exactly. And, another aspect when they brought up the one woman who was on the Facebook page and, the owner of the property where things had been stolen out of his boat, he was like saying he knew that it was his contractors doing it. But another thing that played into it too is gossip and people on the Facebook pages and just running their gobs and being all racist and stuff. The whole damn town is responsible for how you can have a ticking time bomb that's just ready to blow. And they all should hang their heads in shame because they're all responsible. Everybody running their damn mouths. It's like, really? I hope you all take a back seat and think about what you did. But they're like that in the first place. They don't want Black people in their community. It's very succinct. It's very clear. And that's just what it was. So for me to see people, the jury, tell that little junky town, because it's junk to me. It's junk. All the little stuff that you people own, it's nothing. Zero. It means nothing. You know, it was kind of nice to see them just zeroed out all of their hate. It was a real FU moment. And I'm really, really happy about it.
So Black Beauty said, to be honest, I was worried that those horrible monsters would get away with it. She also says, bring it, ladies, bring it. Bring it. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. And she says, it was like we were in the deep South back in the 1900s, and it's really how it was for our ancestors.
It's true. I mean, you know, even with the Rittenhouse trial, it was kind of reminiscent of when, you know, the Jewish kids were killed going down into the civil rights movement. It's the same type of feeling. And, you know, it's really disappointing that we don't have more people really speaking out. But I also feel that a lot of us are stuck in our homes and can't really get out there and really be as supportive as we can. So we have a lot of lip service online.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Very, very nice. Now, let me cycle back. Media coverage. If Arbery was killed by a Black man, would we even know that? Would we even get any media coverage?
In the same,
yep.
Would he have been killed the same way? That's the question. Would he have been cornered the same way? Would he have been?
Well, what about the media in this though? Because, and I say the same thing. I was quite interested, and you talked about earlier a little bit in the Rittenhouse trial. It was a white man killing white people, but it seemed the media really focused on what Blacks were saying about it.
That is because this is something that they've done over the last 70 years. Whenever white people have stood with Black people and have tried to protect Black lives, they have been tarnished. Like, one of the people that follows me is the daughter-in-law of Viola Liuzzo's son. Daughter-in-law. Viola Liuzzo's daughter-in-law. And her son follow me. And we've had a conversation before where they said, go watch this documentary. And they tried to make her mother out to be a prostitute, to justify her being murdered by the Klan rather than being a Unitarian Universalist who was down there as really doing what her faith told her to do. And, you know, they killed her, and then they trashed her. You know, they said that the Black man that was in the car that she was giving a ride to, that she had been having sex with him and this and that. And it was just horrible. And then when they went to court, and remember, these Klansmen got off. They, you know, they degraded the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this particular case, it did not surprise me. It looked just like a 1950s, 1960s courtroom in the Deep South, where you gave, 12 white men this, like what they did with the Emmett Till trial, gave them the time to go do the verdict, and what came back, it took them this long just because they probably sat to open up a Coke and talk, right? And so I don't think that they saw those people. It's like they literally marked them as Black.
But I kind of feel like the white media in itself and white liberals are kind of a dismal failure on this. I don't feel like they do enough to support even their own, out of fear of seeing that they might be accused of being racist and showing too much activity, favor to one group versus another. So they start to walk a fine line, and then they become very artificial in their delivery of how are we going to proceed. And so what happens is we have a situation where, yes, we're dealing with a racially intense environment at the time. But then there's a little bit of guilt and kind of shame and a little bit of apprehension about putting the gas on something like a Kyle Rittenhouse, because it was all with white people shooting other white people. And they had to always make sure that they figured out how to frame this. So it came across very artificial, and it was really hard for white people to understand on a level other than, oh, that was Antifa, and those are those really rowdy white kids and skateboarders, because for some reason everybody hates skateboarders, in the GOP. And so they have to frame it. But I would say that I still think that white liberals kind of failed a little bit of the kids that did go out there to really protest the shooting that happened in Kenosha the day prior. So this is a dilemma that they need to work out, because that we had many kids during some of the protests here who were white and who were Caucasian, who were injured severely from rubber bullets and all of that. And I feel that the Black community was looking for more justice for them than the white counterparts. So somewhere they take a step back and leave it in our hands to handle alone. It's like we're the Black family that comes to try to help with Heather Heyer, all of it. They just drop out. They fade away. They always do. They lose attention. And I don't know if that's just a spiritual thing with them, that they don't have the fortitude to see it through just with injustice. They are being held their feet to the fire right now with the Black Lives Matter and all of that, only because we are making sure they do. See, it's very different. But there's nobody holding their feet to the fire for their white activists who are getting injured in the process of trying to help with the Black Lives Movement. And it's a shame, and they should be ashamed of themselves because they haven't done enough.
Well, you know what you're saying is the exact same thing that Martin Luther King said in a letter from Birmingham jail when he was talking about his problem and his issues with white moderates, and that, that they did not do enough to support their own, even when their own passed or were killed, murdered, but that they're, and the white moderate at the time would be considered our liberals.
Okay,
now.
gotcha.
So they were just, it's like, you've got to take a stand. You've got to be more diligent. We know that you are on the side of civil rights, but right now you're not doing anything. And then when they kill white kids, we would expect that you would be even more outraged. And
they're not. They're not.
So it just,
because I was sitting back going, there's some cold ass people, because I don't get it. We've had little Heather pass away. I mean, and she and here we are. We've got all of our big Jesse Jackson, all of these people, all of our biggest activists, and Crump, and all these people are there to support these families. And Martin, maybe that stayed in my head from all those days. I'm not the best at history, but I totally see the point.
So,
I see the point. That's exactly what I feel, because it's disappointing to me. And because at this point, we're a family in this, and we got to really look out. But, you can't do it when you're going to be, rising to the occasion. Like, well, I was there at the Black Lives Matter movement, and I helped with the George Floyd thing. But there's so many moving parts in this that there are many all races who were injured and hurt. And
it's like, do you show up for the ones that aren't getting the media attention? Because it seems too, then it's like they want to show up for the ones that get the attention, just so they can get credit. That's what hurts me the most about the white people who say, the older ones, or like, I marched with Martin Luther King, or their grandparent, or my grandfather marched with Martin Luther King. Did you march with Martin Luther King, or were you at a rally that Martin Luther King was at, and you marched at that rally? I always ask people that whenever they tell me they marched with Martin Luther King.
It's a good, it's a People omit in order to not blatantly lie to you. That's why when you ask questions, please, people, ask very direct questions on a topic to get the real deal, because you're absolutely right, Aisha.
Because people think that, oh, it was back then, so there's no photo of it. There's always a picture.
Totally. There really is somewhere.
Absolutely.
Look, they found a picture of Bernie at a Martin Luther King rally. He was not arm in arm with Martin.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Black Beauty is saying, and isn't it shameful as well as factual that the message in Rittenhouse trial is, quote, this is the verdict you get when you stand up for blacks.
Yep.
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. And I still think that, you know, we have to support and put more pressure even during the civil trials that are going to happen, because that's when people start getting all raggedy, when you start like messing with their money. And if he has any, or however, if those senators in those places start trying to change laws on that front, we have to really pay attention to what they're making moves to do right now, because Kyle Rittenhouse has bought favor somehow for a minute. So we'll see.
Yeah. And also to take note of how now Republicans are getting very involved in this trial and this defendant. However, on the flip side, anyone else who said, remember how they ripped Obama when he said Trayvon Martin could have been his son? Remember how they rip any other politician who's like, oh, you're making this political.
Right.
You're offering somebody a damn job. You're offering a killer a job.
I know. And he'll probably take it. And it could very well happen.
Because here's the thing. The court said that he was not a murderer. He's still a killer.
Right. Yeah.
He did kill those people.
Yes.
Murder is a legal term.
Yeah.
Done with them. Oh my goodness. Let me just see. Okay. Anything else you want to cover on that one? So, actually, how, if at all, is this verdict going to change things for Black Americans, if at all?
Arbery?
Yeah.
I don't think it will change a whole lot. I just think it sends the message that gotta keep pressing, gotta keep video, and gotta keep these videos going, gotta keep taping these things.
Well, I actually thought it was interesting that with all the gerrymandering that the GOP has been doing in Georgia and all of that, I really found it very interesting that the jurors that the defense could pick or did pick went with this, you know, decision, because it makes me wonder that they don't know their audience. They don't know, they can gerrymander all they want, but if we run the right campaign, then there's an in there. I think these jurors showed with Georgians, there was an in when they rejected Donald Trump trying to house the election down there. And there's something about, just as I mentioned, how Texans have their sort of credo, so do Georgians. And there is something that kind of stood out a little, like, oh, well, maybe there are more sane people than crazy, because the media has been giving way too much attention to the Marjorie Taylor Greens and those people, and they've been warned to stop it. The more you keep giving them a platform, the more that's all you see. I mean, I have a ton of friends down in Georgia, and they're nothing like this, and they have their own belief systems and their own little colloquial little things that happen within their own communities. You know, and so I feel like that the media needs to start focusing on the things that are very similar with values than the differences. And it's the only way you can weed out, to start saying, hey, there's a club over here that you all didn't know about, and they voted your ass guilty. So you read this wrong. And hey, GOP, you read it wrong because we got Warnock, we got Ossoff. You're not on point. There's something that has changed, and you could gerrymander all you want, but your people have kind of said to you, because these are people that, you know, they thought they had inroads with, and they made them all guilty, like straight down the line.
They actually listened to the evidence and they looked at the evidence, right? Where and whereas they were given very clear-cut directions, they followed the directions and they went where the evidence took them, right? And I gotta say too, that prosecutor, her closing arguments, the rebuttal when she did was that she was very clear in saying that this was about right and wrong, and that, you know, and it's about the evidence, and here is the evidence, and this is what you saw, and this is what the facts are. And that the defense was she was very masterful, but she also she was also very lucky in the fact that the defense put on a real shitty case, because they went in there very arrogant, like Jill said, thinking that they knew the people and didn't know them at all, because they thought that they picked the right people, but they picked honest people. They picked decent people who were going to do the job that was in front of them. And so having only one of those defendants actually put on a case and testify, the worst thing that if his attorney really should have insisted, if you testify, you will go to prison. Right. Period. Because after he did that, and then they brought on the girl, the one girl, to talk in about the neighborhood and everything. He was done. It was toast. It was done. And then I was very surprised when the other one said, "Oh, defense rest," and didn't say anything. I'm like, where's your case? Where's your case?
Wow.
And they didn't give them anything to look at except for the facts.
Yeah.
That's all they had.
So
you asked how we feel it will change things. It's not going to change, you know, overnight, but I do feel that the more we start to see, you know, step by step, but the GOP has a lot to really start looking at the people that they are so cocksure are really loving all of this. I mean, we're getting ready to go into another spell with COVID, which we're going to talk about later. And ain't nobody got time for this nonsense, because this is some real stuff right now. And we cannot, you know, repetition can only go so far.
You could mess it. Well, this is the thing. We can't be doing the same thing over and over again. And this is my concern, that the Arbery trial, the final verdict is just a symbolic thing.
It depends on how the media decides to keep framing this. You know, if they want to talk it to death, or let there are more of us than there are of them. Why have we given racists the platform? They're on social media. Why are we talking about them? There are so many more of us. And we have to create safe havens for all of us to really look at each other, and, you know, whether it's looking at a case with, you know, black on black crime or whatever, we all have to be honest. Not everything is a race thing.
Well, this is another thing too I want to talk about. Let me get some. Black Beauty's made some comments, and I don't want to leave her out here. She goes, and isn't it shameful as well as factual that the message from the Rittenhouse trial is, quote, "This is the verdict you get when you stand up for blacks," unquote. And then Black Beauty also says, speaking of which, in many ways, the bias of the Rittenhouse and Arbery trials remind me of how a little black girl walking home from such riots during 1967, the police dogs attacking and chaos. And then finally, I know it's 2021, but I'm sorry to say that the bias vibe of My America takes me back how it felt in 1967 as that little girl walking home from school during the race riots.
But it's so funny, like growing up in like a small town, Lebanon, Ohio, which definitely had its divide of like the black people on one side of town and the white people. We've had that all over America. We know what that's like.
Yep.
And seeing the race riots and then hearing the undercurrents and going on. But more than us just reflecting what happened, we really have to address what's happening and not, you know, it's important to have that history, like nothing has changed, but what we're trying to address is this is happening. And yes, it stemmed from that, but we have rogue law enforcement. We have a lot of things that we have to stay involved in. We've got to keep people involved in the voting process locally, local.
So Jill, this is the thing. America can't let go from its past, I think, and also it can't let go of it, and it can't learn from it. It's not learning from it.
No, it's not.
Well, the reason, no, I disagree with that statement. America is learning from its past because it continues to repeat it. And what it's learning is that you have fathers and sons and grandsons. They're teaching the past. It's like they're teaching it as something to be revered.
Mm.
So is America learning from its past? Of course it is. It's learning to keep it the same. That's what it's learning. It's not learning to change it. It's not learning that, this happened, and so these are the things that happened because of it. No, it's like they want it to be 1955, where white men were in charge. They weren't outnumbered. Nobody could tell them what to do. They didn't have these laws. That is what they want it to be like. And so what are they doing? They're teaching their children that history of when it was their time. And so what do you have here? You're like, oh, I want it to go back to the good old days. And everyone is reminiscing over and like fawning over the 1950s and the 1960s like it was so great. It wasn't even great for white people, okay? And they're not remembering it.
Particularly women.
Exactly. They're not remembering it the way that it actually was. They're remembering a fantasy.
Because they weren't living in it.
Right.
That's what's so funny.
They're remembering
they were not
a fantasy
living
they
in
saw on Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay. So we got here also Black Beauty is on fire. You got to come on one of these times, Black Beauty. They've always had the platform, but the difference is that 45 made it his duty to tell him he don't be ashamed anymore. Hey, Hoey, hey, don't be ashamed anymore. It's okay to let your hate out. Be confident, be vile. You are in it. You're
not alone.
You're not alone.
But my thoughts are, when people start attacking race and go into the racial divide, there's some things that need to be addressed in our country that keep perpetuating problems. It's like a vicious circle. And yes, we do have fundamentally just hateful people that believe in their, traditions, their identity, because it's all they have. It's how they've been raised. But our mental health in this country is really bad. I mean, we actually have people waiting on JFK Jr. to come back from the dead. And I mean, to 100,000 people in Dallas, they have articles on women who have left their husbands, their left men who've left their wives, donated $200,000 to this movement. We are at a really interesting time of just unreal surrealism. Chaos. And where people want to belong. It's about trying to belong. And there's something about a nation that has divided its people so much that they go in clusters and little pockets because they don't feel they belong anymore. There's no communities. There's no
neighborhoods. There's not communities.
It's like all of that in the attempt to have corporations and commerce. What we sacrificed was far greater than what we made in return. Money comes and it goes, but to rebuild communities that knew people, the storekeeper who knew, and or people who could help other people in need. We don't have that anymore. No one even talks to people. How you take away and strip people of all their empathy is going to be written about forever.
Right.
You know, what was bothersome to me was this not only was JFK coming back, JFK Jr. coming back, but JFK was coming back. And on the 22nd of this month, a reporter said to one of those people who was waiting for JFK to come back, he said, "You know, he was killed 58 years ago today."
Right.
And he's like, "Really?
No.
I didn't even know JFK was dead." It was like,
this is a problem, Dr. Vibe, and
boy.
education here. They sacrifice people's education for money. You know, colleges, people couldn't afford it. They've done this.
And to keep
and
people
so now
stupid.
everybody's sitting around wondering why we're here. It's because commerce and capitalism took more precedence over your people. And it's okay to have those things, but they didn't have anybody's backs for a long time.
And with education, I mean, critical race theory is coming to claim everything, every little thing, like, oh, Lyndon B. Johnson signed the 1964 Civil Rights Act.
Even talk about that now.
Can't talk about Lyndon B. Johnson.
And it's just going to be more
Kennedy
ignorant.
met with Martin Luther King. Can't talk about Kennedy. I mean, literally, they're going to swallow American history, things that people should know. So is, you know,
I mean, you would have thought they would have been proud of how far we came, but all it's done for white people is make them feel like the losers that they are for believing in this, and for also, you know, feeling like they don't have an identity. I would be proud if I am doing better than my ancestors, or if I don't believe some of the garbage they did. I have a whole sector of family members that were racist. I'm proud to not know a damn one of them that way, and to be so different, and to be something that is so different from everything that their hate-filled bodies dreamt of. I love that, but I'm a different kind of person. I love that God flipped the script on them. I love it.
All right.
Because as there is a scripture, Matthew, John 4:7-8, which says, if you don't have love in your heart, then you don't know God. So that is really true. And you can't, they don't know him. They also waiting on him to come. Well, he ain't coming back for them. Okay. Period. I just said it.
Look, God looks at America and is like, I am staying as far away as
I know you're going to say something else.
No, it's like the more we stall, the more challenges that turn around the corner to make us face another priority. And you're getting ready to go into that.
The more I know, the less I understand.
Yeah.
It's got to that point. It's got to that point.
Hatred and covetousness, you know, and greed. Those are attributes that just bleed into other things that make you a really sourpuss.
All right. Well, let us hope for the day that, especially around the world, that we know that we realize and appreciate that everyone has value.
I know that.
You know? So let's move on. I've got another one. Do you have any more comments here? You know, we're good. We're up to date here. So let's move on to our next, in some probably good news for those who are supportive of the Democratic Party. U.S. House of Representatives passing the nearly $2 trillion Build Back Better Act. Is this a victory for Mr. Biden?
halfway.
Yeah.
Because it still has to go to the Senate, which the Senate will likely chop up the money.
Yeah, they'll figure out a way to steal the money. And this is really sad that our system, this is how it is, and nothing ever gets done.
Yeah.
And that's the most disturbing part, because there aren't any caveats in there. I wish some of our bills had things that were more like sinkholes, like you touch one thing and try to change it and it collapses another. I don't think we have the best strategy when they're composing it, because there's no triggers. The Republicans do seem to have like trigger mechanisms. It's like you get the freaking pages and you're like, oh, take this out, and this whole damn thing falls apart. But
Yeah,
But
and
Democrats need to learn how to write their bills better.
And the scary part is that should the Senate cut some things out and reduce the money, because they already reduced the bill from what was 3.4 trillion or 3.5 trillion to 2.
Right.
Um,
They'll
should
get
we
it to
cut
one like
right?
they wanted in the
should they
first
cut
place.
it? Should they cut it then? It has to go back to the House.
Right.
And will it pass the House on the second go around?
Gosh.
Right.
So this is a symbolic gesture. There's still a lot of work to be done.
There's still a lot of work to be done. And then
Yeah.
remember what this means too, is that this tiny little bit of money has to go across 50 states.
50 states,
Right.
yes. I was listening to a program this week, and they had a governor. Do they have a governor from one state, a municipal politician from another state, and a city representative? And it was very interesting, that conversation, the dynamics, that everyone's going to be scrambling for their piece of sweet potato pie, so to speak. I'll just give the Thanksgiving reference to it. And then, the fight has begun.
I mean, we do know that there are many Republican states that want it. We just have to figure out that there's some kind of situations working on in the background. But I don't know, with McConnell recently saying he's not going to run again.
Where is he? I haven't heard a lick from him.
I don't know, but I think he knows that he's really not relevant to them anymore. I do, and I think he's going to do something to save his own face. He can't round them up. We've got to figure out who's the actual one doing it. And it's Trump, unfortunately.
But this is the thing. As the midterms come closer and closer, since we're already close to the end of this year, it's going to be very interesting to see the role that, well, we know the role 45 is going to play, but what role is McConnell going to play, and are they going to butt heads?
But you know what, though? 45 has been, he's been a loser.
Yeah.
He's been a loser really for all the Senate, for all the special elections with the senators and the congressional people and the governorships.
Right.
I mean, they've been staying away from him. The only reason the guy in Virginia really was able to win was because he was like, Trump, no thank you.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We're going to see, because I figure there's more things coming around the horizon, and definitely it's going to change the tune of maybe what these states are going to need financially going forward, because they just got a big wake-up call the other day.
Did the media spend more time on the, how can I say, the conflicts within the Democratic Party than covering it actually being passed?
Yes, and the media should spend more time covering the conflicts in the GOP. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's what the people here tune into, and for some wacky reason, we like to tune into conflict like it's a drama. And I just want my news served hot, and it just boom, like this. I don't want any more Rupert Murdoch stuff. There is some weird stuff going on in the energy around these old dudes, though. I don't know what it is, but it feels very strange to me. People are not really appreciating. There's something that has been sinking in about billionaire perks, because the writing's on the wall. If you don't have money in America, you're as good as dead. It's definitely about to move into that. So if Congress knows better, Senate and Republicans, they better think back to the French Revolution, because after a point, there's only so much bickering we can do amongst each other before we start turning around and going, wait a minute, listen, bitch, you started this shit. So it really, and it's happening. It is totally happening. People are starting to come together and go, wait a minute, you're going to like what? And you think this Black Friday was a sale? That ain't no sale. Ain't nothing in there for sale. I got this stuff cheaper 6 months ago. Like, all of it is a joke. And people are kind of catching on like, wait a minute. How come y'all always want me out here spending money shopping to keep you? No. We've got some interesting things happening. And soon, nobody's responding to each other like they used to on social media to a degree. And those people, the natives, get restless. So Congress, the Republicans and Senate better pass that Build Back Better law if they know what's good for them, because they don't want what it looks like. Promises, you promise people, they better think back to what happened to Marie Antoinette and her friends.
So Black Beauty saying, and it can and more likely will take years to go into place. When it finally passes, God willing, it doesn't get chipped and chopped and go back to the House. But then another question here, Black Beauty's on fire tonight. She's going, I will say that this, as well as the U.S. Democratic Party, learns to toughen up and face reality and pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Will democracy continue?
The Build Back Better Act will not go into place until 2030.
Right.
Period.
Until when?
2030.
That's what the law says. So it is.
Hold on. Say that again.
2030.
2030.
What year are we in now?
2020.
2021.
Almost 2022.
Yeah.
8 years.
Right. So my
That's
whole
how they.
point.
That's how they.
Hold on.
That's how they pay
No.
for it.
No.
They collect the taxes in the next 8 years.
Come on.
Mhm.
8 years.
Yeah, they got to collect the taxes to pay for it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Everybody is really not enjoying. No.
And
This is
here's the other thing too. People are going to have to get their stuff together.
No,
you have
Aisha and Jill, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
So it's not really my priority at the moment, but everybody else is.
What kind of nonsense is that?
It is nonsense, but that's
It is.
America. America is nonsense, and everybody knows it. And they're in a lot of trouble.
And the thing is that local municipalities have to put in for the money now,
Right.
in order to get it earmarked for them.
Yes.
That's a mess.
It is a mess.
Yeah.
So
the infrastructure needs. Hold on. The infrastructure needs help 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another thing, they didn't even put paternity leave in the bill.
No.
They cut it out.
To take their babies to work, honey.
Right? America is one of the few, is probably the only industrialized country, or one of the few in the world, don't have parental leave.
No, you can't be a parent in America.
You're lucky only if your organization allows for it.
Right.
2030?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the use of passing it?
Exactly. Because I don't even know.
We don't know who's going to have control.
Exactly. That's my whole thing. We don't even know.
And it may be a bad comparison. Okay, it may be a bad comparison, but money sure came out of the government quick enough to help people in the pandemic.
But not enough.
That's because guess what? They borrowed it.
Yeah. And guess what? They're asking for it back from some people.
Yeah.
2030.
Mm-hmm. I got a letter from the unemployment that, you have to prove that you were self-employed, and otherwise you're going to have to pay us all back. They are coming for people.
What did I say a few moments ago? The more I know, the less I understand. Not just stamped it on those facts you just brought me.
I used to think when I was younger, like, wow, I was born in one of the greatest countries in the world. And now I wonder, why was I born into such slavery? Because we're all slaves in America.
Do you know how many
brown,
bridges,
black, white? Yeah.
You know how many bridges are going to collapse? Unfortunately, how bad roads. Like Black Beauty's saying it right here. Yeah, by then we'll be united as we help each other pull out the cars out of potholes.
But they don't care, because when they claim state of emergency, they dip into funds. They're okay with disasters. They've actually learned how to function with dipping into the federal monies when they have national disasters.
And
it's become a formula.
And you know what else is happening in 2032? Jill and I were talking about this earlier, is that that's when they start the process of having new cars being made.
Right.
With that are electric, that are not dependent on gas.
And by that time, other countries won't even be using electric because,
Right.
or their roads are all ready for people to recharge their cars. So we're so behind in so many ways that it's a grave situation. It's grave. And I don't even waste my time listening to mainstream media and get all tripped out over Build Back Better. Because frankly, it's like, really?
Ladies,
no.
it's your show, but I'm done with this topic.
Yeah, me too.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm done. I like that.
That's my point.
2030, like,
yeah.
I again, it may be a bad comparison about the pandemic, but infrastructure is just as is of course each individual is important, but individuals need the infrastructure so they can prosper.
But this is why our election next year is so important, because people don't realize that it is whatever the people in the state government and in the federal government decide are the priorities, are so how these things get voted on. I mean, it's really telling when you're
Black Beauty is saying here the average American has no clue.
No clue. They think Build Back Better is going to happen next year,
immediately,
but it's not happening until 2030. No. So it's like, what's the damn point?
And then they're going to be wondering, like, why aren't we seeing anything?
And they won't be seeing anything. They will have things being taken from them because our taxes increase to pay for 2030. So they basically pimped us out for 8 years to pay for this.
But when you
while the pandemic ravages us.
But this tells you how people are tired of the politicians when you have a big yellow bird running against Ted Cruz in Texas.
Right.
Okay. With Elmo as his senior advisor.
Big Bird's running for election, right?
Yeah. For Senate.
Yeah. And I'll vote for. I vote for.
It's very rare I get involved like this in your conversation, but this one, wow.
Yeah, it's grave. It's a grave situation.
Wow. 2030. Oh boy.
And see, and that's the thing. They didn't just bury it in the bill. These bills are so difficult to read. They have left that they've left it that way on purpose. Okay. Now, mind you, over the years, the legislative language could have gotten much simpler so that people could read them and understand what's in them. It's gotten more complicated, and they've loved that because they know that people won't read them to know what the details are. And guess who else doesn't read these bills back and forth? The people that pass them.
Yeah, the people, Congress, they don't read the bills either. So now we know why the girls didn't want to pass it. Because it doesn't, what is that?
Okay, let's move on. Like, really, wow. Let's go next. Another non-controversial conversation coming up, the new Omicron variant. And I found this interesting. We chatted about this before we went live, that there's shutdowns now. They're barring people from South Africa on flights. This and that is happening. And this is interesting. Another thing that just makes me shake my head here in Toronto, where I'm based, because of this, nothing's been really confirmed that it's going to get big. Our gas prices are dropping 40 cents tonight.
Right.
40 cents.
Well, with this variant, I believe it was Hong Kong that identified it absolutely first. I'm not sure. But Hong Kong, what I read, saw that it presented there with a woman who had not been to South Africa. She had no affiliation there. They started to see that it in quarantine, because when you go there, they put you in quarantine, that it had across the hallway cross-contaminated somebody in another quarantine sector. There are people who have flown into the Netherlands yesterday with 500 people on a plane, and they were all in quarantine waiting to see the results. If they all had this variant, 90% of people in South Africa actually are testing positive with it. So we have and what happens is the rate of transmission is 500% more than Delta.
What?
Mm-hmm. It is rapid. They think there are many epidemiologists. You're going to see all this online. Some that are like, oh my God, what are we doing? There are other epidemiologists. So you have to understand, in the medical field, you have medical doctors. Then you have scientists. They don't often agree. So some of the medical groups, medical people at Johns Hopkins are worried because they think that this virus can, as many viruses can, play off of our RNA and our DNA, like RNA, and convert themselves and use it back against us. So you'll see some noise about that going on, about it, potentially being one of the reasons. There's also another clear reason that not everyone was vaccinated in South Africa. There's rumors, which misinformation that we're not 100% sure, hasn't been clarified, that it originated from people who are immune compromised with HIV, and that it spun out of that and created 32 different variants. That we don't know if that's true either, but it is out there. If it has, that could create a different scenario for what this virus is now capable of doing. And if it's resistant to a vaccine, is it something now that will stay lodged in your body? I mean, no one knows, and we have to sit tight. But the rate of transmission is incredibly powerful. It's great, and it doesn't look very good at all. In all honesty, it doesn't look good.
So if we have to deal with this again, actually here in Toronto area, I think was it yesterday, they started doing vaccinations for 5 to 11-year-olds. Has that happened in the States at all?
It has happened, but Pfizer and Moderna is already testing to see if they are resistant a little to this B.1.1 Omicron. Pfizer said it's going to take them 100 days to develop another booster. Moderna is trying to figure out a 3-pronged approach, which means it said people will get a full dose of the vaccine, the 2 that you got at the beginning, all in one. Then there will be another booster. So we're looking at them really trying, because the problem is that now the spikes with 32 different variants, you're looking at more and more access into cells. That's what it
How do you know so much about this? I'm impressed.
Because a few months ago, I had been hearing about the new variant, and they were keeping an eye on it, but they weren't worried about it. But they did say if the new met up with Delta, which it was on NPR, that could be a problem because it had the capacity to change the spikes. It had the capacity to change. And that was what they were. So to be honest with you, they should have shut down flying then. They should have stopped it when they knew that these 2 variants were happening in opposing regions with the unvaccinated people and people who were immune compromised. Because people who are immune compromised, it's going to create something off of their bodies. It's just, it's like adding pepper into, a salt-filled stew. And imagine how many types of, we all are running a stew and mine's too salty and I put potatoes in it to drag the salt out of it. It's all going to be different. So you have a recipe and the freaking world didn't follow it. And that's the problem. Everybody did their own thing. And we're in trouble because this rate of transmission, 500% more. It's like, I don't even know what we're going to do. And are the governments going to shut down again? Probably not. But this is full on, full on, and it could be incredibly dangerous. So the hospitals, we know that New York State, the governor has already declared a state of emergency in preparation for the hospitals and already getting herself in gear. Because if we know that 2 cases are in the UK, there are a few in the Netherlands and in Belgium, and they're not sure, they want to blame Africa, but we're not sure. We also didn't help to vaccinate Africa. So we have a problem. Bad.
The biggest thing to me is that the reluctance of some of these Western countries to shut down again. It's like, it's the thing that helps.
Right.
But you're unwilling to do it because you're afraid it's going to crash the economy. What's going to crash the economy is dead people.
Right.
I mean, you diminish the population, you're going to crash the economy anyway.
But here's you're not to cut you off, Aisha, but the crazy thing about America, since we've blown Dr. Vibe's mind, you got to remember, Nebraska has a 1.5 unemployment rate, and the state is upset. And the reason they're upset is because they have to pay people proper salaries. States do better when there's high unemployment because they can pay you whatever garbage they want. We have so much change going. So Aisha, you're right. I'm sorry to butt in. Say it again, because this is with people dying, they'll figure out a way to make money off of people again.
Yeah, because the proper thing to do is to right now shut the country down.
Totally.
But see, and this is something we haven't talked about a lot over the last year, and it'd be really good if we could, I guess, 2-part thing, address how many frontline workers have quit in the health field, and if we could ever get someone who works on the front line to share their experience. Like I've heard on different media outlets, but I think if this variant is heavy, like Jill is saying, the number of people on the front line is a heck of a lot less than it was a year ago, 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And have we learned our lesson? And a lot of people are quitting the front lines and they're not coming back.
Nope.
No.
And a lot of people died on the front lines.
And you have to remember, like states like Hawaii have a really great situation. I don't know, because it's an island. What they do is they take your temperature at the airport. They give you a test at the airport. You have to download an app. They get the results of your PCR test. And you cannot leave the airport until you get verified with a check mark on your phone about your test. And then you have to quarantine. So that is really how all travel should be going. And it's just, but people here in this country have been wilding out. Like they feel like, but we're talking about the potential for this virus to be something like a HPV, like an HIV, now moving into a herpes, something
we're going to be dealing with for a little while. It's not going away. And if you worried
about having kids before, you may never get to have them anyway. So get your vaccines to stay up on this. Now I know I'm pushing it. I'm pushing it a little bit, but you've got to understand how viruses work. And it's time for people to snap the hell out of it and really learn. Get an old encyclopedia and just learn. Just try to understand the virus and what it intends to do and how it plans on living. It's like I've seen gardeners take better care of their gardens than people are taking care of their health. And I blame America quickly because they have been so willy-nilly with lack of universal health care. People don't have relationships with their doctors. They don't have relationships with medicine. It's foreign to them. People for years have been concocting things to self-medicate, to self-do whatever, because they couldn't afford to go to a doctor. That's another failure in this country where people don't even get checkups. They don't go. Everybody, it's not that they're afraid. They now have just normalize the fact that you have a country that didn't give a damn about you to make sure you had health insurance. And now you're supposed to go to doctors that you don't understand, and you find it really odd that all of a sudden they're telling you to go to a doctor. Well, yeah, because you could possibly wipe them out too. And that's why all of a sudden, but when they were up and rolling and things were going good, nobody gave a flying fig about the American people. So the ignorant people who patch their teeth up and whatever and do whatever and take all these homegrown gadgets and concoctions, it's bullshit, because they don't understand or respect medicine because they never had it. They've never had it. There are literally people in this country who have never had health insurance.
Yeah.
And they won't even spend it. This is a crazy thing too. When it wasn't mandated, they got mad because they were mandated. They were like, I'll just go buy, I just won't have it. So then they make it so expensive for you. They $500 even, and then the corporations got in on it and started making your paying a higher premium. It's such a mess. And I honestly don't know how this country is going to get out of it, because it is a ball of yarn of problems.
Anything you want to add, Joe, before we move on? Sorry.
I mean, the thing about this is that, like Joe said, you also have people that have then tricked themselves into believing that medicine is like voodoo, right?
Freaking witch doctors,
right?
Yeah.
Because they couldn't afford it at one time, and so they passed this on to their children and their children's children, and so now you have people like, oh, I only take this all natural, concoction that somebody made. My grandmother used to do. Everybody used to say, take your cod liver oil. The cod liver oil fixes everything. No, it does not.
No,
okay, it's like that's something that people did because they couldn't afford any other kind of care.
And can I just say one thing off of what you're saying? And let's not forget the studies that have actually been done on bottled vitamins. I've read countless stories that they do absolutely nothing. And here we are chugging them down, doing whatever. It's a false sense of security too. Let's really be honest.
And it's
don't count on your vitamins.
Because the
it
vitamins
just helps you to keep right. Thank you.
The vitamins are FDA. They're not FDA backed.
No.
And
people need to snap the hell out of this.
And if
you need
go,
medicine.
You can go. They will test vitamins to see the efficacy of them and how potent they are. And different brands of vitamins are different. Yeah. Right. Different vitamins are more potent than others, and the more potent ones are the more expensive ones.
Thank you. And most people aren't buying them. They're buying $8 vitamins when most vitamins, the prices are 50 something and over. And then you should probably be going and getting vitamin drips, which I used to do with, Ayurvedic medicine and things like that, which there is a Chopra clinic here with real doctors who study Western and Eastern. But this freaking crucible shit we got going on here in America with let me make my own, here's something, drink some pot liquor, that'll take care of COVID. No, it won't.
Well, you know what? Here's the other thing. You really want to know where you get the most potent vitamins? They're prescribed by your doctor.
Yes, exactly. And also in your food,
I have to take a lot of them, and mine are prescribed by my doctor. I get them from the pharmacy.
Yes, my D3
with a prescription.
From my doctor. And the also place where you get vitamins would be your food, but we have plastic food, GMO. So what the heck is going on? Let's just be honest.
If we could bring someone who has some knowledge about
I have
food,
somebody that we can bring.
We need to have a whole conversation about this because at the end of the day, if you don't vax, whatever, but at least take care of yourself.
That's why you need an immune booster, because our immune systems are almost non-existent in this country because we are not getting crucial vitamins.
Right.
You're growing your own food in the garden.
The people, for those who aren't vaxxed, I've never done some reading. A lot of them who get the virus who are not vaxxed, they're in terrible health.
Yeah. But
So at least bottom line, take care of yourself, eat right, exercise. Okay.
All the vitamins we take, Black people don't realize that vitamin D3 is one vitamin that we are extremely low in because we don't spend a whole lot of time out in the sun.
Right.
And with vitamin D3, for you to absorb it, you have to take vitamin A with it.
Yeah.
And I also want to say one thing. If you're with people in your relationships or anything that won't get vaxxed for you, you need to rethink that relationship, because I, of course, vax out of self-care, but I'm vaxing for the collective, and the collective are my immediate family members, are people I love, and the people that I meet along the way. Granted, it's not 100%. It's not 100% that, I don't get hit by a car again, which I've been hit by a car. But all I can say is that I'm doing that because I just want the best for everybody. And I just feel it's time to pitch in. I'm sure during the war, I would have been a Rosie the Riveter. I would have done whatever it takes, although I don't like killing things or people. But I do what I can to help. And I think that we've got to get to that place, because if this virus, and we're going to see people going, this is more propaganda. You know what? I'm very scared of this one, because I've seen too many. Now I'm seeing medical people who the concern has always been like, what is the path of this virus? Because it is like a freaking monster mutant virus, and viruses have the potential of making things extinct. That's why we don't have dinosaurs anymore. It was a virus that took them out. But people would rather spend their time waiting on JFK and believing in that BS, but not a vaccine. Go figure. It's absolutely mad. And I just can't get with that.
Think about it. That part's insane.
Let's move on. All right. Our last conversation. We hadn't done it for a while, but we do have it for tonight. This episode's cockroach, the person who complained about Kamala Harris buying a $375 pot on a Paris trip.
Okay. I said this before we started the show. I'm going to say it again. Kamala Harris does not live paycheck to paycheck. Right. Okay. She's been making her coins for some years now. That $375 did not come from your little 2-cent tax money that goes to pay her salary. Okay. That money is something she likely earned way back when she had her job as the attorney general, or even before that when she was district attorney. Maybe she got it from one of the properties that she owns and leases out. It might have been a gift from Doug. You don't know. Okay. And guess what? If she did take that from her salary as vice president, guess what? She worked for it.
Thank you.
She did her freaking job.
I know.
If you're complaining that she bought a $375 pot, guess what? It's her salary. She earned it. You don't get to say how she spends it, period. Because you wouldn't want people complaining about how you spend your money. Would you want your employer telling you not to go to Roadkill Joe's for dinner,
or give $200,000 to the JFK Jr. resurrection?
Exactly. Donate to Trump. Would you want your employer to be on you about that? No. So shut up.
Anything you want to add, Jill?
Yves de Hilaron is a French, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, is a French gastronomy supplier that, people who really are into professional cooking, you can get some amazing pans and copper, like legit beautiful copper, because also if you are the kind of cook that can cook with a copper pan, you're saying something, because it's actually quite difficult. And heck, even if I see a Mauviel at Home Goods, a little tart pan, even at Home Goods, is $96 for this big. It's like this big for, I think, an individual tart. So I know the quality of some of these pans. They have amazing like syrups and spices. And see, she loves cooking. She said it before. I love cooking. So for me, I mean, one of my pots just for my bread, making my bread, is $320. That's like what I was using Le Creuset. I have all of them, but it's like I have different needs for them, but I love cooking. And for me, it's better than, diamonds. It's like, this is what I love to have. So everybody has their own thing. And it's not that expensive. Have these people not gone to Williams-Sonoma lately? That place, like your KitchenAid is $350 alone. So I found it ridiculous and insulting and misogynistic. It was like the 1950s all over. Like, are these men like still giving their wives allowances every week? I mean, this was disgusting to me. How dare you tell a woman what to do with her money? And she's not your woman. So, and even if she is, you shouldn't, that is just not right. And we're not going to make a big deal over a pot. There are people right now going and buying their 10th TV for the year. Okay. For Black Friday. Yeah. People buy TVs here like crazy. I've never seen the waste in this country. When you go and spend that much money on a pan, that's not the pan that you throw away. That's the pan that one of your kids inherits later. That's called smart purchases. That's called quality shopping. And everything, my mom had a beautiful silverware. Okay, that's called pass it down to your children, your generations. That's what you do. This isn't some throwaway disposable garbage. Wake up. This isn't like sitting at Walmart, Walmart and its old deadbeat. I can't stand Walmart guys. So
this is the part that kills me in this headline, though.
It ain't Teflon, okay? This is a high heat watt, and they should be happy she's using probably gas to cook with it. So what the hell?
But the headline bothers me because they're like, oh, while U.S. families struggle. Well, here's the thing. Guess what? She's not struggling. Are you mad because she's not struggling?
Thank you.
I mean,
wait a minute. Wait, U.S. families are struggling? That's crazy, because U.S. families clearly aren't struggling that much because they broke records going out shopping today. Yesterday with Black Friday. So I don't believe that. They're not struggling. It's like, people will spend $5 on a cup of coffee at Starbucks, and
I don't drink coffee. Sorry, I can't relate.
It's like $5, pumpkin lattes, all these different kind of lattes, and then you want to moan because your gas isn't $1 anymore. You spend $5 on coffee. Get over yourselves. The rest of the world has been paying more money for their gas forever and getting it in a liter. So go to hell. I mean, Americans all of a sudden have been blindsided with their own hypocrisy. And I actually love it. I love it, because that's a pan. But I can go and show you anything, what these people are wearing, what your wife's Botox cost, all of the frivolous things you seem to think things are. These dumbass, cis dudes, what do they call them? I mean, let's be honest. There's some slim pickings out here for my single girlfriends, because if this is how stupid men are in this country, I'm really, really worried about my friends finding anybody. And that's why I tell them all the time, go find a man in Europe. Don't marry an American man. I'm always saying it because it's slim. Chances are, if they're good, they're already taken. But the rest leftovers, I'm sorry. I know a lot of people might be mad at me, but this is too much. How dare you? Nobody wants some man breathing down your neck about what you bought, and especially a damn country of men. But I mean, screw off. Telling me what to buy with my pans.
They're not telling you what to buy, then they're asking you for money.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Hello.
Oh,
but it's like, it was so like the caucasity. It was like, really?
No.
all right.
I did have a man ask me that for $10,000.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
For what?
This was back in August.
That's just trifling. You should have passed them on to me. That is really.
Look, put it this way. He asked. He hasn't heard from me since.
Of course not.
I guess he got his answer, right?
Because sisters are doing it for ourselves, as they say. But nobody has the right, whether it's a vice president or whatever. Nobody got on the horn about Donald Trump and what he was spending money on.
Sure did.
God only knows.
That same paper that you showed the article from, did not complain about the $100,000-$200,000 golf sprees every weekend.
Right. No. And you're going to worry about a damn pan. That is something like, I feel like we should just send them a bunch of pans that fall out and hit them when they walk out of the building. That's ridiculous. But I think they heard a lot from women today about, are you serious? Like, really? Ain't nobody trying to be cooking up something Teflon. I think she likes to cook, and the pan is beautiful.
And your food tastes like what you cook it in. Absolutely.
And you have to be pretty darn good to get it. I've ordered from that store. I love that store. And I suggest, if anyone who can do it, the prices are comparable and you get a better weight of like the silver. And I know there are places here that do forged steel, and my Challenger pan for bread is steel. It's US made, but you have to try and test different things. But you're talking like some beautiful shapes, because let's not forget, the French always have incredible shapes. And these are not just random for design. They're created for flavor. There's always a reason why something is a funnel versus, circular. Always, in all of their design, they pride themselves on explaining to you the history of why something is as it is. Unlike here, which is somebody will go, oh, she bought that pan, let's go knock it off now. Let's try to make another one. No one knows anything about quality anymore. And I'm glad to see she brought quality back.
Well,
so the cockroach.
Well, there you go. And folks,
is the first look. The cockroach is the person at the store.
I just corrected it because I had some spelling grammatical errors at the bottom there. So I can put, it's actually the reporters who complained about Kamala Harris buying a $375.
No, the cockroach is actually the person in the store who rang it up and had to go tell it.
Right.
But to tell that. That's the person.
Okay, so actually, you know what? It is the person, not so much the reporters. It originates with the person.
And I'm actually knowing, like, when Prince used to go shopping and people would give a credit card, sometimes the credit card would be in the bodyguard's name or whoever. You can put your credit card in anybody's name, or cash or whoever. So where is the receipt on that? Who paid for it? I really would, since you want to run your mouth so much, Mr. Frenchie, French, that should be the question, because I don't even know if that's really true. Like Aisha said, maybe her husband Doug bought it for her. We don't know what she threw down. I also find it wild that she's standing at a cash register paying for it. Why wouldn't the assistant just run over and do it?
Yeah, she's having an assistant.
There's something really strange with the story, unless they did it for a photo op. And if it was for a photo op, there's more to the damn story. Right. So, because people who are busy don't typically, or that's not typically how it goes, because odds are, she does speak French, so she could have engaged, but we'll see. More will come out about that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to check the French newspapers to see how they lay this little guy out.
Please do.
They will.
Please
Somebody will, because they don't like that. It causes too much of a scene, and an American scene at that. No, nobody likes that.
Okay, well, this was an epic one because we haven't done it for 2 weeks. We covered a lot of stuff today, and it was well worth it. because we miss them, especially when one of them hijacks themselves to another state and does it and behaves herself, which we're so proud of her that she behaved herself in another state. So for those people who think
For
Jill
my
can't,
daughter, I did. I didn't.
there you go. So for those people who don't think Jill can't behave, you're wrong. You're proven wrong. You're proven wrong. Well, folks, again, I'd like to thank everyone who took time to watch the conversation live or on replay or listen to it on replay. It's called State of Things. We're on most Saturday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where it's that old song, what you see is what you get. Yeah, I love that. Who sung that song? Who's the original singer?
The Dramatics.
Oh, yeah.
What you see, one of the first records I found in my house, somebody left it when I was a little kid, like 7 or 8.
Okay. All right. Well, as always, want to thank Jill and Aisha for taking time to be with us. And as always, we get them to share where you can get a hold of them. So first off, Jill.
Well, I went off of Twitter for like 2 days, and then I realized I'm needed because I need to at least say some things after the verdicts. I was like, I can't not be on here. I'm at Jill D. Jones at Twitter, or Jill Jones Music on Instagram.
All right, fantastic. And then next up, we have Aisha K. Staggers.
I am at Aisha K. Oh, no, sorry, take that back.
At Aisha Staggers, yes.
At Aisha Staggers on Twitter, AK Staggers on Instagram.
Wonderful. And myself, they call me Dr. Vibe. Best place to get a hold of me is on my website, thedrvibeshow.com. But if you want to do the Twitter thing, it's at drvibeshow. Instagram, the drvibeshow. That's me. And then on Facebook, the drvibeshow. No com, just the Dr. Vibe Show. That's the easiest way to find us. I'd like to say thank you for everyone who made it an epic conversation night. Especially special clap to Black Beauty. Whoa, the comments were flying tonight, Black Beauty. Absolutely flying tonight. So thank you for helping make it an epic conversation. Also, big thanks to Cinema Canela and everyone else who catches us live on the replay or listens to it on the replay. My name is Dr. Vibe. I'm the host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Again, host of the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care and also DAD, Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization. As always, I close out with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. And catch us live next Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith. And remember to give yourselves grace.